Okay, we are scheduled for the Election Commission for the public canvass for the election that was held on August 7th, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 5:39, so we'll call the meeting to order at 5:39, and Barbara, if you could take roll call.
Joyce Anderson.
Here.
Glennis Ireland.
Here.
Suzanne Miles.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, and Barbara Jones, our city clerk, is here, and we have
Amy Solberg, election coordinator.
right, and we have our attorney here.
Dean Gates, Assembly Council.
Okay, and also working with Dean Gates is,
Gina Ashman, interpreter.
thank you. Okay, and Barbara, you had a few things you wanted to say?
Yes, I wanted to remind us all that because we're in a warehouse, we're being recorded. We need to speak clearly. And one of the other things that'll help us on the recording is to make sure that if you do want to speak, if you could please raise your hand in some fashion, and then you'll be recognized by the chair. And I think that'll help us make the recording clearer, and it should also make it easier for the public.
Okay, well, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the minutes of our previous meetings. We have the minutes before us of our January 31st meeting, 2018. That should be before the commission, and there are also copies over on the table over there for anyone who wants to look at them. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
So moved by Glennis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Suzanne. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes?
None.
No discussion by committee members? And I will ask for approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Minutes of January 31st, 2018 are approved. Also before the commission are the minutes of the meeting from April 13th, 2018. Those are the minutes that where we went through all of the election, the muni election in April. We went through all of the rejected ballots, and it has all of the votes on here and the numbers and so forth. So is there a motion to approve the Election Commission meeting of April 13th, 2018?
So approved.
So moved by Suzanne. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Glennis. Any discussion?
No.
No discussion. Is there, everyone in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The minutes of the April 13th, 2018 meeting are approved. Old business. I do not see any old business before us. Is there any old business that I missed from either of the commissioners? None? Okay. Okay, we will move on to new business. New business is a review of the pending rejected ballot envelopes from the August 7th election. So we will go through these. There is a report over there that if anyone wants to pick up, they can pick up. There's a report that lists all of the rejected ballots. It's called the Canvas Worksheet. And there is also a form over there which is a challenge form. So if anybody has any challenges to any of these, they need to fill that out and bring it over prior to the vote for each of the reject codes. So please feel free to go over there and take a look at that form, because once the vote is approved, there is no challenge. So the challenge has to be before the vote is approved. Okay, so why don't we go through, I think what I will do is have Barbara Jones, the municipal clerk, go through each of the codes. I know we went through these at the work session, and so does the commission feel they want to look at the envelopes again? Or do you feel that because we looked at them earlier and went through them, that we can go with the reject codes, and then if we have a question that comes up from one of the commissioners or we have a challenge from someone in the audience, we will pull out those envelopes? How does that sound? Are commissioners okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay, both commissioners are okay with that. Okay, Barbara, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, and commissioners, I wanted to remind you, as you can tell from your minutes of the April 13th public session of Canvas, that your motion is always going to be in the affirmative. You're going to approve rejection of the 11 ballots, so that an affirmative vote rejects the ballots. All right? So the first category that we're going to take a look at is reject code D1, duplicate voted void ballot package. And as we discussed at the public session of at the work session, there is one ballot in the category voted void ballot package. This was a voter who received a ballot package, requested a replacement, voted the original ballot package, and then voted the replacement ballot package. So voiding this ballot package, he already voted.
Okay, just to clarify, Barbara, if I can, is that the first ballot that is received is the one that will be accepted and not the second one. Is that correct?
That is not necessarily the case, because in a vote by mail situation, what we are doing now is the first ballot that goes out is the original ballot. But if you call us and request a replacement ballot, we're going to void that first ballot. And you want us to void that first ballot because otherwise we have 2 live ballots out there. So you are correct that this may have been the first ballot that was received, but it may have been an incorrect ballot for some reason or other. It may have been incorrect at a wrong address. It may have been a wrong precinct. There was something wrong with this original ballot that was sent to him. Or it could have just been a duplicate. But whatever the reason, that original ballot was voided and it should not be counted.
I'm still a little confused.
Okay, it's different than, so for example, if you requested an absentee ballot at your home and you went to an early voting location in a poll-based election, the first ballot is the ballot that counts, the first ballot that's received. Even though you requested both, you requested an absentee to be mailed to you, and you walked into an accessible vote center. So the first one that we receive in that circumstance, and we can tell when we received it by the endorsement on it, the first in is the one that was voted. That's not the way we do it in the by mail situation. It's different. And
Okay, so that doesn't give, I guess I have to ask another question, Barbara. That doesn't give the individual the chance to change their mind and vote a second ballot. That is my question.
So, I'm going to give you a complicated answer. And the answer is that when the voter called and asked us to void this ballot, the voter told us that they hadn't received the ballot. So if we had received the ballot in the system, we would, and anyone can tell that, and we would say, no, we're not issuing you a replacement ballot because you already voted. And we process everything the day after. So if you voted on Monday, we wouldn't know until Tuesday morning. So if you called Monday afternoon, we would send you that ballot, and that first one would be voided. So that's part one. But part two, can you vote differently? I don't know, because we don't check that.
Okay, I'm trying to understand that. Okay, any questions from any other commissioners? No? All right. Is there a motion to approve the one rejected ballot that was a duplicate voted void ballot package?
So move. Second.
So moved by Glennis and seconded by Suzanne. Any discussion, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Madam Chair, the next category is E1, and there are 3 ballots in this category, and they were 3 ballots that were returned without a return envelope, and we are unable to identify who the voters are. So So there are 3 ballots in the category ballot returned without return envelope, unable to identify voter.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 3 ballots that were returned without a return envelope, which is unable to identify the voter? Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
So moved by
Second.
Suzanne, seconded by Glennis. Any further discussion?
None.
None? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Madam Chair, the next category is reject code G. Voter failed to provide identifying information. There are 24 ballot envelopes in this category. As we discussed at the work session today, voters were instructed that they needed to provide ID when they returned their ballots. It was included in the instructions with these ballots, and it also was included in a cure letter. As we also discussed at the work session, 13 voters did return ID.
And if you could explain for the commission and the members and the public present that the reason why the ID was required, so we'll have it on the record.
Yes, Madam Chair. These voters are in a status code with the state of Alaska. ID is their status code. A regular registered voter is in the category RG. So a voter in the category of ID means that this voter registered at some time, most likely online or with the PFD, and a voter registrar did not check ID. So these voters may not vote until some official has checked their ID.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve these 24 ballots where the voter failed to provide identifying information?
So moved.
Glennis moves,
Second.
seconded by Suzanne. Is there any further discussion?
None.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, the next category of rejected ballots is M. There are 4 ballots where we received 2 in 2 different envelopes. We cannot count ballots that are received in one envelope because we don't know what voter to credit for the envelope. Voters are instructed that only one voter can sign, and the voter must sign the declaration on the outside of the envelope.
Okay, and Barbara, if you could explain what the process was for the one voter that had the 2 ballots in the same envelope, what was done to try to correct that situation?
The process is that we send a cure letter to the voters, or we will call the voters. In this case, the voter was called, and the voter, we asked to speak to the voter and the other person in the voter's household that voted, and the voter declined to provide us information about that person and also declined to have the other person call us back. And because of that, we can't tell which ballot belongs to the voter and which ballot belongs to the other person. So we can't count either of them.
All right, is there a motion to approve the 4 multiple ballots in one envelope that were rejected?
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Suzanne, seconded by Glennis. Is there any further discussion? Any
No.
questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Our next category is our biggest category. It is reject code W, and we are asking the commission to reject 77 ballots that were postmarked after Election Day. And we greatly appreciate that you went through all 77 of these and checked the postmarks, because you did find one during the work session that we were able to count.
Okay, and as Barbara said, all of us went through each of them. We went through three different piles, and we all switched and went through the piles again of the rejected envelopes and did verify that all the postmarks were after Election Day. Is there a motion to approve 77 ballots that were received that were postmarked and voted after Election Day?
So moved.
Moved by Glennis,
Second.
seconded by Suzanne. Is there any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
We've broken our postmarked category into two other categories, and this category is for no postmark. And we showed you these two ballot envelopes with no postmark. One was received on August 13th, the other was received on August 17th, and the code doesn't allow us to count ballots with no postmark that are received after Election Day.
And I would just like to point out that the election was August 7th, and even though there was no postmark, those have been received on the 13th and the 17th, which is well after Election Day, even though there was no postmark. Okay, is there a motion to approve the two ballot envelopes that were received that did not have a postmark, but were received here in the elections office after Election Day?
So approved.
Moved by Suzanne, seconded by Glennis. Is there any further discussion?
None.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The next category, again, has to do with postmark. It's a W-2, and we have a postmark on one, but it's unclear what the postmark is. It's from Germany, and the other postmark was also unclear. On both of these, we contacted the post office. The post office indicated that one piece was processed in Anchorage on August 15th, and the other piece was processed in Billings, Montana on August 9th, which are both after Election Day.
Okay, and I'd also like to point out, or not point out, but to give the clerk's office congratulations for going further and above board to go to the post office and find out when these were postmarked and where they came from, in this instance from Billings, Montana, but also that we found out that they were postmarked after Election Day. So is there a motion to approve these two that had an unclear postmark or no postmark, but the post office provided additional information that required them to be rejected?
So moved.
Moved by Glennis,
Second.
seconded by Suzanne. Is there any further discussion?
None.
None? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The next category is Reject Code Z, voter failed to sign ballot return envelope. We have 8 ballots in this category that you looked at. I think we talked at your work session today that as to cure letters, the clerk's office sent out cure letters to these 8 voters, as well as to 72 other voters who did cure some type of a signature problem, no reference signature, no sig match, or no signature. So we did contact these voters.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 8 rejected ballot envelopes where the voter failed to sign the ballot return envelope?
So approved.
Moved by
Second.
Suzanne, seconded by Glennis. Any further discussion?
None.
Okay, and this is also the point if anybody wants to challenge when I say any further discussion, so I just want to remind everybody about that. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The next category is Z1, no signature match on ballot return envelope. There are 3 envelopes in this category. These voters were sent a letter, an opportunity to cure letter, and some voters who didn't have a signature match also were sent letters and did come in and correct that. We provided you the envelopes with the signature and the signature on file so that you could see that our election workers use the training that they've had to verify signatures, but I think even a layperson can tell that these signatures don't match.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the 3 that were rejected for no signature match on the ballot return envelope?
So moved.
Glennis moves.
Second?
Seconded by Suzanne. Any further discussion?
None.
Okay, I would just like to point out that I agree with Barbara. We did look at those and the signatures, even for the 3 of us that are lay people and did not have the training. It was very obvious that those signatures did not match.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The next category is reject code 3, ballot voted by someone other than the voter. As we showed you, this envelope has a voter name on it, and the return address and signature is not the same person. The person who provided the name on the return envelope and the signature is not a registered voter in this election. We did notify the voter that someone else had voted the voter's ballot. And you did ask me to notify the other person, and we will do that as well.
Is there a motion to approve the 1 ballot that was voted by someone other than the voter as a reject?
So approved.
So moved by Suzanne,
Second?
seconded by Glennis. Any further discussion?
None. None.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next category is reject code OOD, registered outside of the district. There are 5 ballots in this category. These are voters who are registered in Anchorage, but they were not registered in time in Assembly District 3. So we are asking you to reject these 5 ballots.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the 5 rejected ballots because these individuals were registered outside of the district of the election?
So moved.
Moved by Glennis,
Second?
seconded by Suzanne. Is there any further discussion?
None. None.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next category is reject code OOD/T, registered outside of the district too late. What happened in this case is the voter did register within the district, but it was after the 30-day cutoff for the state of Alaska. So the voter was not qualified to vote in the District 3 election.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 1 rejected ballot envelope that the individual was registered outside of the district and registered too late?
So moved.
So moved by Suzanne,
Second?
seconded by Glennis. Any further discussion?
None. No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The last category is R1. This is a new category for this election too. It's the first time that we've received information from someone other than the voter asking the voter to be removed from the voter registration rolls. The one thing that's interesting about this is neither voter voted the ballot. As I discuss with you at the work session whether or not these voters are removed from the registration rolls is up to the state of Alaska.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these two that are rejected from someone other than the voter return the ballot envelope, ask the voter to be removed from the voter rolls, and there were no votes on the ballot?
So move.
Moved by Glennis,
Second?
seconded by Suzanne. Any further discussion?
None. No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. So I would like to say that that is the end of the rejected ballots that we have reviewed. And the total is 133. So there are 133 ballots that were rejected in this election. And so I guess I would like to move forward on to, we're done with the rejects.
We are, Madam Chair, we have prepared a report for the Election Commission to sign. Typically, when we had 700 rejects, it took the clerk's office a little bit longer to prepare the report for you. But with only 133, we've already prepared the report, and you can review the draft document, and if you are satisfied with it, we could make one of them the original and then have the commission sign that, and that would be for adopting your report. So if you'd like to take a minute to review that.
I'll go ahead and do that. I would like to point out that there were no challenges for any of the rejected ballots. And so the commission members will take a few minutes to look at this.
Madam Chair, if you notice, the new reject codes are in the middle of the report in bold, but they're on the last page of your Canvas report. So I apologize for that lack of consistency there.
And while the commissioners are taking a minute to look at that, I'd like to point out, I know this came up at the work session, and I see this on the second page of our report of Canvas, is that municipal clerk's office will be sending a notice of ballot rejection to each of the individual voters whose ballot was rejected. So I want to put that on the record as well. Have the commissioners had a chance to look at the report?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the report as presented?
So move.
So moved by Glennis, a second?
Second?
Seconded by Suzanne. Is there any discussion?
None.
None. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Report of the canvas is as presented, and we will go ahead and sign that after the meeting.
You should sign it during the meeting.
During the
Madam Chair.
meeting?
Yes, you should. You
Okay.
may sign it right now.
Okay.
typically you wait until you have a separate meeting at the assembly certification
Of
day.
which we won't be there.
That's right. So we thought we would just have it all in one meeting.
Okay, I only have a green pen. Should I be
Oh.
signing in blue?
You should.
Thank you. Here. Thank you. Okay. While the report is being signed, I would like to say, and maybe have a few comments from Barbara or Amy on how the election went, just generally, considering this was the second vote-by-mail election, which, and a smaller than the whole municipality. It was only one district. So if you have any comments you'd like to share with the commission and those present on how that went, and let me just say, easier. So, Amy, why don't you go first?
Through the chair, thank you. So I think this election went really well. We got over 20%, which was very outstanding, and especially summertime in Alaska. And so I think that we all did a really great job. We had skeleton crew, and we worked people out in certain different areas, and it worked out very well. So, and we definitely miss Barbara. Just wanted to point that out.
And I do have one question. So how did the drop-off, you had 2 drop-off boxes?
No.
We had 6.
Oh, you had 6. For some reason, I thought there were only 2. Okay, that's even better. So how did that go?
It went really well. We added 3 more drop boxes, new drop boxes, and it was here at the election center. We had one at City Hall, and then we also added one at West Anchorage High School. And we went ahead and moved the library drop box from one end to the other so that it was visible from the parking lot. And I think that went really well.
Okay, great. Barbara, do you have any comments?
Well, I am very thankful that I have an outstanding crew in Amy, and Amy led the crew. Cindy was here earlier. She was the other half of the team, and Carolyn, Anna, and Claire are also part of the core team, and they're here, and I am just very thankful. So thank you very much. They did a really amazing job.
And I don't know if any of the commissioners want to comment. I did not hear any negative comments from anybody of neighbors that I know that live in this particular district. They thought it all went very well. So I just want to pass that along as well.
Madam
Glennis?
Chair, I would just like to say I came by on election day and observed, and things went really well. I was very impressed, and thank the crew on our behalf.
Okay. Suzanne, you have any comments?
No, I live in Eagle River.
Oh, okay.
Unwell during the election, and so I didn't stop by.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I do want to thank Amy for the great job that she did, and maybe Barbara's a little bit of oversight, even though she wasn't here in person. So thank you. So that, I believe, does it for the election itself, and we're going to move on to number 6 on the agenda, which is member comments. So are there any additional comments from any of the commission members? No comments from Glennis? Suzanne? None from Suzanne? Not from myself either. We are just letting you know that we are having the only comment I want to make is that we are having this meeting today is because 2 of the commissioners will not be here. And so we are having it this week instead of next week. So that is why we're having it early. We have to accommodate the commission members as well. So. All right, if there are no other public comments, member comments, we're going to move on to public comments.
Just one observation. This is Christopher Constant on the Assembly. There's a category that's new on the reject pile that's substantive, the second highest reject pile, and that is the voter failed to provide identifying information that's relative to the voter PFD system. Now, this creates a new area of awareness we should be contemplating how to address. The state will be operating a regular election at polling places, so those individuals generally, unless they vote an absentee ballot, would find themselves approved at the poll when they show their ID and sign in. But then there's going to be, in April, a class of people who are similarly situated to this very large percentage category. And so I would suggest, A, we work closely with the state to ensure that they're aware of this problem, and second, that we do outreach to individuals in the list who have that categorical tag before the election that notifies them that if they don't show an ID to a registrar, they may not have their vote counted. And in that way, we can get ahead of the problem and not have to see fully 1/4 of the ballots rejected almost be because someone failed to present ID because there was a new system in place at the state. And so I hope that we can be proactive on that point because that's a bit of a novel and scary category. Thank you.
And I guess as a commission member, I would agree with that. I know that we rejected 24, and Barbara said there were 13 that did respond. So out of, and I'm not sure, can you give me the number of ballots that were sent out? Do you know off the top of how many ballots?
40,000.
40,000 roughly, okay. So out of 40,000, we had 37 that did not have any, identifying information such as their signature and so forth, or a driver's license or whatever type thing. So I guess I agree with you. I think that's something that should be looked at. I don't know what the state is going to move forward on that, but we have a whole year to think about it, try to get it in place. Might be interesting to get the total number that don't have the ID in relation to the number that there are registered in the municipality, and then look at it from there and see if it's possible maybe to send out a letter to them. I don't know what the other commissioners think, but I think that would be a good idea to be able to see if we could, even if we sent out a letter and 50% returned, that's better than not having any returned, not having that information.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
One
Barbara?
of the things that Amy told me, and I believe Anna may have commented about this when I got back, is that those voters did get a separate notice. However, they both commented to me that, well, it's not like an in-your-face notice that you need to provide ID. So they already identified that issue and know that they need to do something about that. And because it's a status code, it would be really easy to send a letter to everyone with that status code. So one of the things that we could do, the code still requires us to send a postcard in January to all registered voters unless they're undeliverable. We could see if maybe the postcard could be different for the voters that have the category, the status code ID. So we'll work on those. Anna's still working with us on outreach and education, and Amy and I will put that on our list to work on that.
And then my one question would be, Barbara, is that I would assume the state would have had all that updated then by January after the November election, so that all those that did show ID at the precinct level would have been, I see a little smirk there.
You believe in unicorns.
I know. I'm just saying, because if we're required to send something out in January, it would be nice if the state had updated that code, which you're saying is easy to run off a list. But let's hope that the state would. So I would suggest, as a commission member, to sort of send something to the state and prompt them to do that, so that we would have a more accurate, list of who and who does not have that identification. That driver's license or whatever it happens to be.
Madam Chair, I think that is a great idea, and I will bet Amy and I will put that on our list. It is more likely than not that it will not be updated by January 1st. If their election is in November, we pull our data on December 15th, and I do not believe that they will have that updated by December 15th. So maybe we need to wait until February to send out a letter to these voters with IDs and get a more, an updated list. So Amy and I will work on that.
And I'm wondering if it's possible to just give the state a heads up that we have to do this, and ask if they could do Anchorage voters first to get all that updated. And I know I'm asking something that's probably not going to be done, but I had to throw that out anyway. I've worked for government since I was 18. I know exactly how it works. So I'm sorry. But no, just heads up, hey, this, whatever. So just throwing that out as well. Do we have other public comments? Jean?
My name is Eugene Carl Haven, I live in Massachusetts Valley. follow the public process. The public process on appropriate decisions made by the governing bodies of elected public interest. First, I'd like to thank the Commission from the previous meeting where I was concerned I could barely hear any of the commissioners speaking except for Joyce and Barbara Jones, and it was corrected greatly, so I was able to hear what was happening there. But then this went fast-tracked in a way that you did your business in the previous meeting, so I witnessed here that the ballots were not passed around Monday at this meeting because they were passed around before. But in reality, on section G, I witnessed a situation where not all commission members had seen the ballots of that one. And we got the same candidate that was related. So we had the same situation that happened before the last election where not all ballots were being reviewed by all the commission members present. Now, another thing we're concerned is that they can know because people here from the public, some of them did not witness that work session that happened early in the meeting. I applaud Barbara Jones, like in this meeting, where she explained the scenarios, and then you deal with the issue on each category. But in the work session, you had the balance moved around, and one cannot, at least I feel, do two things at the same time. Look at the balance and hear what Barbara's recommended and so forth, explaining what the category is. It would be much more appropriate for Barbara to explain the categories and then pass the balance out. And that made a situation where I feel that the commissioner's attention span wasn't fully attended on the ballots or listening to Barbara. You can't do two things at the same time. And the other thing is that I didn't see any chance for public comment response on each category. Ask if there's anyone public, is there anyone public here before you vote? I didn't see that scenario. Years ago, I witnessed that situation in the reverse, where the chair would, as anyone in the audience present would have any questioning on that category before you wanted to vote. That did not happen here. It didn't happen on the main regular election. And then in closing, there's one other thing that you may not be aware of, and it's on topic. And I may be wrong, but please correct me if I am wrong. Obviously, this was one assembly member. It was a quicker election to deal with, and so forth, as far as processing and reviewing ballots. But as far as the voters are concerned, it was one assembly member, one area, and it's my understanding the only place physically for the voters to go and come in and vote was right in this building. But I don't believe, and I may be wrong, it's in the same district as the voters for this election. And one would have thought that the physical location for people to walk in and vote would have been, at least one of them, been in the district where they're voting. And my understanding, that was not the case. This was the only location, warehouse, where it is, Avenue there. And then just close here up. Yes, were outreach and having drop-off boxes. But you got to look at the physical ability. People look and still want to be able to come in and vote themselves. And the constituency of this assembly member did not happen. They were denied their right to physically come in and vote in the area where they live. And it was outside the district. And that closes my comment on that. Any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Any other public comments? If not, I think we need a motion for adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. A second, and we are adjourning at 6:23. Does that look right over there? 6:23. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.